she said. I'm a nurse now. I don't owe you anything. So I pulled out every receipt from when she was broke and begging for help. She called me cheap and left without paying a dime. But months later, when she called crying, I didn't even pick up. When I first met Emily, she was going through a rough patch, financially mostly. She had just graduated nursing school and was between jobs, trying to get her license sorted out while doing the occasional gig here and there. I was already working full-time in IT, making decent money, and living in a small apartment just outside of Denver. We met through a mutual friend at a birthday party. She was smart, confident, beautiful, and had this fire in her. She talked a lot about becoming a nurse and how she didn't want to depend on any man for anything. I liked that about her. She had ambition. She wanted to build something for herself. I respected it. We started dating a few weeks later. Things moved fast, maybe too fast. Within a month, she was spending most nights at my place. She didn't have a car, so I'd drop her off at interviews or pick her up from shifts when she did get temp assignments. She struggled with rent at her old place, so I offered to help. Eventually, she just stayed with me, rent-free. Over the next 6 months, I helped her out financially more times than I could count. I didn't think twice about it at the time. Groceries, her phone bill, even part of her student loan payments. I gave her money when her car finally broke down. I even helped her with her scrubs and shoes when she landed her first full-time job at the hospital. She always said she'd pay me back. I never asked. I believed her. She was my girlfriend. We were building something together, or so I thought. But as time went on, something shifted. She started acting different. Shorter texts, less enthusiasm. She became distant, sometimes borderline cold. I chalked it up to work stress. Nurses have it tough, right? The long shifts, the emotional exhaustion. I tried to be supportive. But then there were moments that didn't sit right. Like the time I asked if she wanted to come with me to my cousin's wedding and she said, "I'm not really into family events. I need my space." Or how she started hanging out more with coworkers after shifts, barely checking in with me anymore. No big deal, I told myself. Relationships go through phases. People get busy. But deep down, something didn't feel right. I didn't want to seem paranoid, so I stayed quiet. I didn't want to be that guy, the controlling one, the insecure one. Everything boiled over one night after dinner. We were watching a show, or trying to, when I asked if she was coming with me to visit my parents the next weekend. She rolled her eyes and said, "You're always trying to make me do things I don't want to do." I blinked. "I'm just asking if you want to come. You don't have to." She got defensive immediately. "I'll do whatever I want, okay? You can't stop me. I'm not your puppet." That hit me harder than I expected. I stared at her for a moment, then said quietly, "All right. If you're that independent now, maybe it's time you paid me back for all the help I gave you when you were struggling." She looked at me like I'd just insulted her entire family. "What help?" she said. "You never gave me anything. That was your choice." That's when I realized something. She had no intention of ever paying me back. Worse, she thought I was too soft to even ask. And maybe I had been, but not anymore. I sat there for a moment, trying to process what she'd just said. "You never gave me anything. That was your choice." I didn't raise my voice. I didn't even flinch. I just stood up and walked into the bedroom, opened the bottom drawer of my desk, and pulled out a folder. When I walked back into the living room, I didn't slam it down. I didn't try to make a scene. I simply handed it to her. "What's this?" she asked. "Open it," I said. Inside were printouts of bank transfers, amounts ranging from $60 to $800. Each one had a little label next to it. Groceries, June; car repair, July; phone bill, September, and so on. There were also screenshots of our texts, where she had messaged things like, "Thank you. I swear I'll pay you back," and "I'm so lucky you're here for me." She sat there quietly flipping through the pages, not saying a word. After about a minute, she scoffed. "You were keeping records? That's seriously messed up." I felt something twist in my chest. "Messed up? You said you'd pay me back. I just kept track, in case you ever wanted to know how much it was." Her tone shifted. "This is why I don't like being in relationships. Men always think they're owed something because they helped." "Emily," I said, calm but firm, "it's not about being owed. It's about being respected. You told me you'd pay me back. I believed you. But when I brought it up tonight, calmly, you laughed in my face and said I gave you nothing. That's the part that stings." She stood up and tossed the folder onto the coffee table like it was contaminated. "So what now? You want me to write you a check? Is that what this is about?" "No," I replied. "I want you to acknowledge that what I did for you mattered. And if you really meant what you said about being independent, then you'd understand why this feels like betrayal." She crossed her arms and leaned against the wall. "This is unbelievable. You're acting like I'm some kind of gold digger. I was just trying to get on my feet, and now you're throwing it in my face like I used you." I nodded slowly. "You did use me. Not just for money, but for convenience. And now that you don't need that support, Suddenly I'm the bad guy for bringing it up. She didn't respond. Her eyes were darting, like she was searching for the right angle. Then, in a quieter voice, she said, "You know, you're acting real cheap right now." That one hit different. It wasn't loud, but it was meant to cut. I paused for a moment, then nodded. "Yeah," I said. "Maybe I am. Maybe keeping receipts makes me cheap. But I'd rather be cheap than be taken for granted." There was silence again. She didn't say sorry. Didn't explain. She just walked past me into the bedroom and started grabbing her things. No yelling. No drama. She packed quietly, like someone leaving a hotel room. As she zipped up her bag, she looked at me and said, "You'll regret making this such a big deal." I didn't argue. I just opened the door and watched her walk out, certain that one day, she'd realize who actually made the mistake. She never paid me back, but something told me she'd be back. It had been 6 weeks since Emily walked out of my apartment without so much as a thank you, let alone a refund. The same night she called me cheap for keeping receipts of money she swore she'd repay. I'd watched her pack her bags and walk out like she was doing me a favor. I didn't chase her. I didn't block her, either. I just moved on. Slowly. At first, I thought the silence would eat at me. But honestly, the quiet was peaceful. I got back into my routine, started running again, caught up with friends I'd been distant from, even joined a hiking group. Every day, without her drama, felt like regaining a part of myself I hadn't realized I'd lost. But I knew it was only a matter of time. The call came on a random Tuesday night, just after I got home from work. Her name flashed across my phone for the first time in nearly 2 months. I let it ring. No voicemail. No follow-up text. 2 days later, another call. Then a message. "Can we talk? I think I handled things badly." I didn't reply. The next night, she called again. This time, I answered, not out of curiosity, but because I was finally calm enough not to care. Her voice was softer than I remembered. "Hey, I wasn't sure if you'd pick up." I stayed quiet. She continued, "I've been thinking a lot. About everything. The way I reacted. What I said wasn't fair." I let her talk. She went on about how stressful work had been, how she felt overwhelmed, how she hated depending on anyone and lashed out instead. "You didn't deserve that," she said. "And I'm sorry. I really am." I could hear the cracks forming in her voice, the careful regret. Not dramatic, but strategic. Like someone testing the water to see if it was safe to step back in. Then came the real reason for the call. "I've been missing what we had. You were always good to me." I didn't see it at the time. And there it was, the soft appeal, the emotional bait. I took a breath, calm and clear. "Emily," I said, "you didn't just handle things badly. You mocked me, told me I gave you nothing, and then called me cheap when I showed proof of everything I did for you." She was quiet. I didn't ask for praise. I asked for honesty. Instead, "You left like you were the one wronged." She started to say something, but I cut in gently. "I'm glad you found the clarity to apologize. But I'm not the guy you left anymore. I won't be your emotional safety net after everything falls apart." There was a long pause on the other end. I imagined her sitting somewhere alone, maybe trying to hold back tears, or maybe just shocked I wasn't folding. "Is there anything I can do to make it right?" she asked. I gave a small, tired laugh. "Not really. I didn't need an apology to move on. But thanks for the call." Then I ended it. Not with anger. Just finality. She never called again. That night, I slept better than I had in months. Not because I won, but because I didn't need to. I stood my ground, and that was enough.